Our last speaker as we run up to our first coffee break in a packed morning is Dr. Richard Keegan from Enterprise Ireland. Richard is a very positive and uplifting speaker. He's the Manager Competitiveness Department with Enterprise Ireland, where he works as a specialist in the areas of lean, world-class business and benchmarking. He has worked closely with a large number of companies, both in Ireland and internationally, helping them to introduce the concepts of world-class manufacturing based on objective benchmarking. He's also an author of several books and lectures both in Trinity College on their MBA program and also in NUI Galway. Previously that, his own experience at the coalface was with Daft Trucks, Nokia and Nestle. A master's degree in commerce, a doctorate from the National University of Ireland in Galway. Will you put your hands together, please, for Richard?
Good morning, everybody. Those who know me know that I like to speak, but I'm under strict instructions today that I have to stay on time. So I've actually brought technology to give me a chance to do that. I'll do my very best. Firstly, I better get my presentation up. Here we go. What am I going to talk about this morning? Many of you have experience in industry. I know some of you. I've worked with quite a few of you and have a big interest. Not in lean, not in world class, not in TPM, not in business process engineering, but in what Irish companies can do to be better. What we have seen, though, is that some things are working. We've heard stories today. Eddie just made a point there, the Lake Region steal with passion. Happily, Eddie, you've stolen nothing. You can't steal what's gradually shared, what's actually shared, that people want to share. And one of the most significant companies in the country to share is Lake Region itself. I've had people say, I robbed your idea. You can't rob what is given. And the beauty about where we are today is people want to share, and especially in Ireland. The reality of it is what we know as good practice, best practice, world-class, TPM, BPR, whatever you want to call it, is that it works. We're using lean as the name in Enterprise Ireland to describe what we do, and what I'm going to share today is that it works. We've taken a step as a country to put this idea about disrupting how we do things, about critically saying we're going to be better, and it's in the action plan for jobs. It's in there, it's buried in there as a key element of the three key elements. To try to drive our entrepreneurship, to increase our export sales, but to do something to make a difference. To drive our ability to deliver to our customers a better products. I work for Enterprise Ireland. It's my day job. It's all I do is work for Irish companies, plus the other things I do. But the key thing we're talking about there is what can we do to make a difference? We have what we call a lean business offer. We're driving improvement, not in PDCA, continuous improvement circles, but in a spiral of improvement, not going round in circles, but driving our capability to ever-increasing levels of ability. We've heard the story, we'll hear more stories. Guys, start. It doesn't matter where you start. The big thing is where you keep on going to. How you decide to keep challenging yourself and your people and your organisations to say, hey, we can be even better again. The tools change. What we're actually trying to do is do what we do for our customers quicker, better and cheaper. The only way to achieve that is together. No matter how good you are yourself, you can only be so good without your people. How we can engage with all our people, not the group of core specialists, but all our people, releasing their energy, their commitment, their engagement with us. I try to describe the lean, the best practice in simple terms. To me, there's some core principles. Time, money, effort. How long does it take to get something done? Are we making or losing the value we've managed to create through our design processes? Is it hard for people to do what we ask them to do, or is it simple? But most fundamentally, you must have that fundamental desire to say, hey, we want to compete. We choose to compete. And a key point I want to leave with you is, this is a decision. It's a choice. You can make it or not. If you choose not to decide to compete, if you choose just to stay where you are, well, fair play, that's your choice. But be aware that others are making a different choice to push on. It's your call. You decide. If we talk about change, I think we also need some rules, principles, rules, and tools. The rules we need are for dealing with people, but also for looking at processes. Fundamentally, we need to base what we do in terms of respect for our people, respect for the environment, respect for our businesses, respect for each other in the leadership teams, but also this constant of challenge. Jeannie Mac, we can do a bit better, unless we are the only company in the world that is absolutely brilliant at everything we do. Maybe we are that one company. If we are, fantastic, luxuriate in that feeling. If not, respect yourself enough to challenge yourself and your colleagues in a respectful way, to say, can we do something? For dealing with people, I robbed this. It was given to me by Liam Lacey at Tanko Engineering, a small Irish company in Carlow. Fairness, firmness and consistency. We must deal with our people fairly, in a firm way and a consistent way. But just working with our people alone is not enough. We need to look at our processes. And to me, we need to look, see, understand, think and do. If we don't look at what is going on, we'll never see it. I've recently started reading a book by a guy called Musashi, The Five Rings. It's a modern book written in 1634. And in that he talks about the difference between observing and perceiving, looking and seeing. We must look, we must see, we must understand, we must then think. And then we must do something to change if we want to improve our processes. We've all seen books that thick on total quality, on TQM. There's a fantastic book by a tall, bald guy called Keegan called Applied Benchmarking for Competitiveness. But within all of these, the money goes to cancer research. I'm not flogging my own book, though I am, but for a good reason. There are 5 fundamental tools, the basics. If we can get all our people to use these tools, we will drive forward phenomenally hard. Process mapping, know what is going on. Physical flow, see the physical movements in the shop floor and in the office. Check sheets, is it getting better, is it getting worse? What's going wrong? Run charts, what is the progress like? Or is it just another day in the office breaking rocks with a blunt pen? And teams. Can we engage the hearts and the minds of our people? Can we find ways to work not just for ourselves but collectively as a group? Some of you heard me say this before. I was in a German company called Rational. They make industrial cookers, fabulous 500 million turnover company. I spent 2 days chased by 30 Germans. They're like the last Spitfire over the channel in 1941. Every time I looked around, there was 30 Germans on my tail. It's a Keegan joke. It's why we're banned from telling jokes. They did a debrief. What was it like for you at the end of the 2 days? Oh, we don't understand one thing, Herr Dr. Keegan, very polite in southern Germany. What's that? Always try to speak the local language. What did you not understand? Hey, you always knew how to ask the right question. What questions did I ask, yeah? I realised I'd asked 5 questions, everywhere I had gone, from administration, design, procurement, logistics, manufacturing, welding, bending, cutting, punching. Could you please tell me, what are you doing? How are you doing it? Why, and I added some Irish, why in the name of all that's holy are you doing it like that? Who's going to improve it and when? 5 beautiful, simple questions. I share them with you. Ireland is trying to help. The state wants to help. I work for Enterprise Ireland. My job is with indigenous companies and multinationals who use natural resources. But Ireland wants to help. Wants to help you to do what you can do. We have an offer, Start, Plus and Transform, like the 3 levels of the spiral. Start, Plus and Transform, can we make a difference? We're helping financially companies to do that with a cohort of consultants, some of them here today, who are helping companies deliver real value to their bottom line, building the capability and capacity of their people and their processes. Ireland wants to help. The local enterprise offices are about to start doing this for the small guys. Ireland wants to help. The IDA has a training programme. They realised the necessity to build the capability of the global multinational gifted ones that many of you represent. IDA has a training programme. I'll say no more. We believe that it's important to help companies drive their capability, but we also believe it's important to look and see what good practice actually is. We have a very special relationship with Toyota. Eddie, you referred to it there. We got more Toyota guys over to your joint than you could shake a stick at, right? Why? We have a place 50 miles from Dublin that has taken on the challenge to share what they have learned. I will be there for my 50th visit in the end of February. I'm there 49 times. Every time I've gone, all they want to show is what they've done since the last time they were there. And I kick them and they kick me and we have great fun. Enthusiasts who want to share and work together. We've had over 1,200 Irish managers visit that plant. Our Taoiseach visited Toyota in Japan and had a personal visit from the director who's responsible for global Toyota production system. We can access this capability and the capability in Ireland if we choose to. We've had a disproportionate number of Irish managers go to Japan to study best practice with the EU-Japan Centre for Industrial Cooperation. I happen to be on the committee that decides who goes. I've happy to support that for the last 20 years. It's open to everybody in Europe. The Irish make good cases to say why they should get that opportunity, why they should be given the opportunity to go to see and to critically challenge themselves to learn. Because we're open and always have been open to developing ourselves to education. Our mammies would have said to us years ago, there's no weight in carrying a bit of learning. We are open to look and to see. And we visit many leading companies in Europe. With the EU-Japan Centre, we had 5 visits last year. We had a disproportionate number of Irish companies who participated. God forgive me, why not? Why should we not take the chance and the opportunity? Eddie talked about it, I agree with it completely. We're doing all these things, but are we getting a benefit for the state? Well, my baby is the Lean programme in Enterprise Ireland. Before I went into the action plan for jobs, a fantastic lady in Furfoss, Maria Guinness, did analysis on the programme before she thought she might put it into the future of manufacturing in Ireland or into the action plan for jobs. And what that means to me is they engaged external economic analysis consultancies to go all over my baby and to check was my baby good. Now I personalise it, God forbid, lads, forgive me for it, but it's my baby. They did counterfactual econometric analysis. I know you all know what that is. I didn't know what it was. But we know it in the engineering, the practical, the sciences as who didn't get it versus those who did, adjusting for size, scale, age, and all the rest. So companies that didn't have the lean versus those who did. The results were startling. They saw there was an increase in productivity of 20%. The companies who took on the challenge of doing lean increased their productivity by 20%. Eddie's found a new factory in Lake Region. Rota Farm found a new factory in Blanchardstown. If you've gone from 30% to 60, 70% increase in OEE, you've found a new factory without spending a penny. We have seen a 20% increase in productivity. We've seen an 11% increase in employment. We've seen huge increases in sales. We're seeing people building their capability. When they looked at 334 companies, the equivalent was 662 million euro increase in productivity gains. Think about it, every year there's an extra 662 million. When they analysed 334, we now have over 670 companies who've taken on lean projects. I know you can't do the sums, but that's pushing $1 billion to $1.25 billion increase in productivity, not counting the normal savings that are made. Just for the purists in the house, there's a new boss in the engine plant in Wales. I was asked to give him a presentation. I sent over 10 slides to describe what we were doing in Ireland, which is regarded as a bit unusual and different and special by Toyota. I got the feedback from the boys. Keith sent me back a note and he says, it's a pity, Richard, you sent us the 10 slides. You couldn't have done an A3 for us. All the times you've been here, we're disappointed. I was going to the dentist, happy days, going to the dentist, and I'm cursing, giving out on my way on the motorbike up to the dentist saying, the lousers. I sent them the 10 slides, and how could you do an A3 on 20 years of work and the last 5 years? It's impossible. I'm in there getting the drillings done and saying, the lousers, what have they done to me? On the way back, I says, well, feck it, I better do it. I'd better do it. So I did an A3, and I said the issues we had as Ireland were clear. Those slides are not coming out on the screen that I've been talking about. I apologise, guys, I've been lost out of my way. I did an A3, I gave Toyota an A3. And they said, Jeannie Mac, I can now see how a national initiative on best practice is required to drive forward. Last Friday, I was invited down to Rome by Fiat and by Sapienza University to give a talk on best practice, On the Thursday night, we went out to a local canteen type, a normal little restaurant, with directors for Europe, Middle East and Africa, and all these, about 6-7 directors of Fiat and senior professors reporting directly as to the Prime Minister's office in Rome in terms of economics. And on the way there, they said, thanks for the presentation you sent us. What we really want you to talk about is the future of manufacturing in the world. And I says, thanks very much for that. What am I going to do? So I sent them a note, and I did a note, and what I said to them was in 1899, remember Lord Kelvin, the guy of the temperature fame? He wrote a note to Queen Victoria at the time, and he said, ma'am, we can close down the patents office because everything anybody ever is going to need has already been invented. The challenge that I was faced in sort of trying to speak to these senior people in Rome and ministers and also the senior directors of Fiat was, 10 years ago they invited me to Melfi, to this small room. I went over to Rome in my best suit, came out of the airport to be picked up by the driver. I looked like a tramp in comparison to the driver. His suit was magnificent. I looked like a tramp. We drove down 100 miles an hour. I'd done that one speed once, a motorbike officer, but I can't explain where, when or how. Down to the room, into the room the next morning, 17 directors of Fiat, Iveco, Alfa Romeo, the chief engineer of Fiat, and this young buck engineer from Ireland. I says, guys, in Ireland, Fiat stands for Fix It Again, Tony. I looked into their eyes, and I saw seriousness. And I says, okay, you guys get it now. I can talk to you now. This is okay. It's serious. And I explained why I said that and how they needed to do something. 10 years later, we know what Fiat Chrysler is a different business. They've invited me back. I'm talking to the same guys again. And I said, guys, the future of manufacturing, I said, we know what it is. Like Lord Kelvin, I don't want to fall into a big trap of saying we know what the future of manufacturing is. But we do. We know what the future of business is. We do. It's about all the elements of a business working together, deciding to work together, looking constantly to say, can we do it better? With the hearts, the heads, and the hands of our people, challenging ourselves to be better constantly. All the tools, I try to simplify them right down to the simplicity without going into TPM, OEEs and all the rest of it. What are we doing? How are we doing it? Why are we doing it? Who's going to improve it and when? We know what the future is. There's one word in Japanese I want to share with you. Shinken Shobu. Fighting with real swords is the literal translation, or taking things seriously. If we decide as a group of people in our own organizations, in our regions, in our country, to take things seriously, have a great bit of crack while doing it, but to take things seriously, Shinken Shobu, we have a chance to drive our own futures. Not always to succeed, but always to drive our own futures on a spiral of improvement to levels that will be unheard of in the rest of the world, because we're Irish, because we can, because we choose to. The state wants to help. Enterprise Ireland, on our website, there's simple books, simple writing, scratchings of mind to help people share. There's benchmarking tools and techniques we can do to help you benchmark yourself and to see where you are. The latest one is an innovation benchmarking tool. How does your innovation, your ability to develop and create new value exist in your businesses? And finally and lastly, and I am just about on time, a miracle, Sean, a miracle. Don't know how it happened. I draw your attention to the Lean Swift, as I call it, the Swift Guide for Ireland. We went and approached the NSAI collectively as industry, as consultants, as the state, as academics, to define a book of words to say, what does lean mean for Ireland? I draw your attention to it, guys. My scribblings to becoming a lean service company are available free. This costs a couple of euro. But if we as a country can decide to take serious steps to drive our capability, our future is in our own hands. Thank you very much for your attention, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.